episode 48 of Tomahawk Talk, the final scene. Alongside Chris Jones, Liam Sullivan, and Troy Lynch, I'm Kerry Crowley. I'm Kerry Crowley. The Bourne Braves fall 4-2 to the Hyannis Harbor Hawks in Game 2 of the West Division Finals. The Harbor Hawks sweep the series, effectively ending the Braves' season. Chris, we'll start with tonight with so much to cover. Alex Robles, excellent 6 innings of 1-run ball, gave Bourne every chance it needed.
I mean, you couldn't ask of more for Robles to give you 6 innings, able to log those innings, save the bullpen. It looked like everything was lining up perfectly for the Braves tonight, as Robles was able to put up 5 shutdown innings, just gave up the 1 run in the 3rd inning after the Braves were able to take a 1-0 lead. For Robles, everything was working. It seemed like he could sit down for 30 minutes while the Braves were hitting in the 2nd inning, come out and continue to throw strikes, and that's all he did. Pound the strike zone with all of his pitches, especially the two-seam fastball. It was a great night for Alex Robles.
Liam, you've written the same game story in 20 losses this summer. The Braves' timely hitting wasn't enough, and tonight it was the same.
Yeah, Kerry, it just seemed like they were able to get a walk, get a single, and then with runners on base, just not able to come through. It was the story of the Braves season for the most part. The pitching staff, excellent throughout, but just the timely hit, something the Braves struggled with all season long. It's a shame they had to go out this way, especially when it looked like they corrected that issue late in the season and in the first few games of the playoffs.
And I have to give you credit. You made reading about that interesting every single day. Somehow, some way, it was the same way the Braves lost. It was, you always did it.
It was a challenging time writing, but you know what? Thank you, Braves.
Well, let's talk about the summer as a whole. The Bourne Braves 22-20-2 after starting 0-6-1. Chris, what a ride.
Man, what a ride it was. 0-6-1, we thought, oh man, where is this season going to take us? And then guys were just able to step up. Nick Solak was probably the team MVP this season, able to just do amazing things in the late innings, just impress us. He was probably one of the most impressive offensive players coming here on the Cape for the Braves. Just so many moments that are just rushing through my head so far this season.
Yeah, and you mentioned Solak. I mean, the team right before the game awarded Solak a bat engraved with the Bourne Braves insignia, our MVP, signifying just how much he meant to this squad. Just a really special player, so good from that leadoff spot, driving runners in, getting on base, seeing the baseball. Just can't say enough about how important Nick Solak was to this team.
What a summer it was. We could take players of the game, but why not just do players of the year?
Why don't we take 2 each? I feel like that's only fair.
2 each.
Players of the year. Man, I mean, Gavin Pettori's up there. He's one of my players of the year. Able to sign with the Dodgers towards the tail end of the season. Was an all-star coming from Wesleyan. The expectations weren't very high for him coming in. And man, he was Division I premier talent. Coming here and throwing 94, 95 miles per hour, and just say first-class guy. Just great to talk to. He's one of my players of the year. And I'll say the Maple Hammer, Jacob Robson. Just a spark plug coming from Brewster, another guy that expectations probably weren't too high when he got here after Brewster released him, and man, he just tear it up and had one of the best nicknames across the Cape.
I love it. Your 2 choices?
Well, Ryan Bolt, who wasn't with the team over the past few games, battling some neck issues, but he just went about and doing his job quietly, very consistently. Just hitting that 2 spot, was able to get on, glided effortlessly under balls in center field that probably could have landed in a lot of gaps. And as far as the pitching goes, I think Cody Sedlock, huge increase in his performance. He stepped up late in the season, gave the Braves just a giant start, and that when it was Sedlock's turn in the rotation, they were going to get 5-6 shutdown innings from the big guys.
One of the guys I think we have to mention, and that's Austin Conway, a guy who will beat himself up over tonight, and he really shouldn't, because the Braves had so many opportunities at the plate. A guy who, in 20 innings entering tonight's ball game, had allowed just 2 runners past second base all summer. The mailman always delivered at 220 Sandwich Road. Closing can be very difficult for Conway to make that transition. He's a starter at school. Yes, he's come out of the bullpen at times, but for him to do what he did this summer for Harvey Shapiro's squad, gave this team stability, gave them a back end of the bullpen, to pair with a guy like Petore, to pair with Brian Baker, to pair with Kyle Driscoll. When those three guys came in relief, he was sensational all year long, and I think that we need to applaud his efforts. And another player this summer for me, a guy who really stood out, is Jason DeLay. What he was able to do down the stretch, I mean, the guy last summer split time all last year with Brian Serving, Gavin Collins behind the plate, just didn't get the consistent at-bats. This summer, the Braves used 8 different catchers over the course of the summer, but Jason DeLay was the one guy they could always count on every single day at the ballpark to make an impact. He was the sharpest defensively, and he was the best at the plate. A 3-hit performance is what he'll go out with in Bourne. 2 summers here, Jason DeLay really made his mark. Other guys we could acknowledge, C.J. Chatham for what he did down the stretch, Reed Humphreys for his final push, Corey Julks for having the best freshman batting average on the Cape.
Just so many guys that contributed to this team. Really felt like a championship team coming into the postseason. Unfortunately, it ends a little early.
Yeah, I mean, Chris said it. Just once again, just unfortunate that it ended early. It looked like these guys were going to make a push, and it looked a lot like we were going to force a Game 3 in Hyannis. Unfortunately, it didn't happen tonight.
Now, before we sign off from Tomahawk Talk, we'd like to invite our producers, Dylan Dubois and Connor Pepin, onto the show. You got to see their faces. These two guys have stood here by the camera every single day this season. They're behind the scenes with the Braves, behind the scenes on Tomahawk Talk, and they make things go. Guys, thank you so much. Any words?
I'm just going to say we have a privilege to come to the Cape. Being a baseball avant, I mean, this is where you want to be in the summer. Unfortunately, with the games and the players that we've seen, I'm not going to remember that. I'm going to remember spending a summer with these guys, a friendship that we're going to have for the rest of our lifetime. We're going to remember all the times, not just on the field, but off the field between us. It's been a pleasure getting to know you guys, and a pleasure being able to call you guys pretty much family.
You're going to make the cry, Chris. You're going to make the cry. Anything?
No words.
No words for Connor Pepin.
Talent over here. It's talent.
Well, for our entire Tomahawk Talk crew, these two behind the scenes, Troy Lynch,
Back
Liam
on the West
Sullivan, Chris Jones, I'm Kerry Crowley. 2 summers in Bourne, I'll never forget the time I spent here. It's been an absolute privilege to cover the Braves. Thank you to everyone in the organization who's made this possible. Thank you to everyone who's watched Tomahawk Talk. It's been 2 truly very special summers that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. So for the final time, we sign off from Doran Park.